All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Picture this. You've been grinding away searching for a job. You finally land an interview. You spend hours prepping. You throw on your absolute sharpest professional outfit, and you log in 5 minutes early. But when that screen loads up, the face looking back at you doesn't actually have a heartbeat. Your interviewer is an artificial intelligence. It's a wildly fascinating and, let's be honest, slightly unsettling shift happening in the corporate world. And today, we're going to break down exactly how it all works. Here is the roadmap for today. First, we'll hit the initial shock of logging into an AI interview. Second, why massive corporations are absolutely loving these bots. Third, that bizarre uncanny valley vibe. Fourth, the brewing legal battles over algorithmic bias. And finally, your game plan, exactly how to pass the test. So part one, your next interviewer is AI, and that absolute shock of logging in. To really get this, we have to put ourselves in the applicant's shoes. Job seeker Wafa Shafi actually shared her firsthand experience with CBC News, and her reaction, well, it was pretty striking. Even though the bot was super polite, welcoming her to a marketing specialist interview, she said she felt incredibly odd, like caught totally off guard. She pointed out there was zero small talk, zero, no personal connection at all. She literally couldn't tell if her answers were landing or she was just, talking into the void. And honestly, that perfectly captures the jarring shift here. Think about a standard human interview. It's fluid. You smile, you read the room, you banter a little. Those nonverbal cues are a huge deal. But with an AI, you are trading all that human warmth for a totally emotionless interaction. The bot doesn't care if you have a winning smile. It only cares about keywords. It's essentially running a strict transcript-based analysis of the literal words coming out of your mouth. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, this sounds like sci-fi, maybe 10 years down the road. Nope. It is happening right now. Massive household name companies are already rolling out these AI bots for initial screenings. We're talking tech heavyweights like Meta and Netflix, huge financial groups like MasterCard, and yeah, even Domino's. And it's not just white-collar desk jobs either. Platforms like Ribbon AI are specifically targeting manufacturing, massive restaurant chains, and warehousing. Basically, industries where hiring at scale is just a massive headache. Which brings us to part two. Why on earth are companies using these bots and the huge scale problem in hiring? So what's the driving force here? Scale. Why are corporations so desperate to ditch human recruiters early on? It literally just comes down to capacity. According to the folks building these tools, human recruiters just do not have the hours in the day to interview everyone who applies. In fact, most companies can't even get humans to talk to about 95% of their applicants. 95%. That means human recruiters are essentially just crossing their fingers, hoping that the lucky 5% they randomly pulled from the pile actually contains the best candidates. To fix that massive bottleneck, companies are flipping the switch to 24/7 AI. Take that platform we just mentioned, Ribbon AI. Its creator pointed out that their tech literally never sleeps. It grinds around the clock, freeing up human workers from mind-numbing tasks like scheduling back-to-back calls. Because it never needs a coffee break, Ribbon AI's scooped up 400 corporate customers in just 2 short years. That is wild growth. But this level of automation comes with some very real-world consequences. We are actively watching this rewrite HR departments in real time. Take IBM, for instance. They're cutting 8,000 jobs, and a big chunk of those are in human resources. When you've got a bot that can screen candidates infinitely, your need for an army of human recruiters just tanks. For you, the applicant, it means getting past a machine isn't some weird niche scenario anymore. It's rapidly becoming the standard front door to the corporate world. All right, part three, the uncanny valley experience. What is it actually like to sit across from one of these avatars? These platforms take wildly different visual approaches. A reporter from The Verge recently went in and tested 3 of the biggest tools. First up was Code Signal. They just use a static photo. It's kind of like when someone turns off their Zoom camera and leaves a professional headshot up. The reporter actually loved this one. Super realistic questions, 0 weird video distractions. Then there's Humanly. They go all in with a fully animated AI avatar meant to look human. It does get candidates talking, averaging about 200 words per response, but visually, it dips way down into the uncanny valley. Finally, there's Eightfold, which just uses a pulsating circle on the screen. It definitely feels the most robotic, but by design, it's totally visually unobtrusive. Let's loop back to that Humanly avatar for a second, because that uncanny valley effect, that super eerie feeling when something looks human but is just slightly off, was intense.
The Verge reporter admitted it was so distracting, they actually had to physically look away from the avatar's face the whole time just to string their thoughts together. Seriously, imagine trying to nail your dream job interview while actively avoiding eye contact with the screen because the bot's artificial blinking is creeping you out.
And hey, the tech is not without its glitches, some of which are pretty entertaining or incredibly frustrating. Applicant Maureen Green literally had to politely interrupt and end her own interview because the AI agent just would not stop talking. It just kept going, running a full 30 minutes over schedule. Or take a test done by a CBC reporter. They threw a complete curveball, asking the AI recruiter, "So how much do you get paid?" The AI actually laughed. Yes, laughed, and smoothly fired back, "Well, I'm just here to help with the interview process, so I don't have a paycheck." Moving on to part 4, the black box of bias. Beyond all the glitches and the awkwardness, can AI actually be prejudice-free? The companies selling these platforms heavily pitch them as a way to chill hiring bias, because you're talking to a cold, emotionless bot, right? What could possibly go wrong? Well, critics argue quite a lot. A huge concern is that these systems act as black boxes. Basically, the internal decision-making magic is completely hidden from the outside world. We don't really know exactly how or why the AI is ranking one person over another. And here's the massive ethical elephant in the room. AI models learn by scraping the internet. And the internet, as we know, is made by humans. It's full of sexism, racism, and all kinds of ugly biases. So the fear is that these black boxes might just be absorbing human prejudice and then automating it at warp speed. And look, this isn't just some abstract philosophical debate anymore. It's already sparking real lawsuits. Right now, 2 plaintiffs are actually suing the AI company Eightfold, demanding a look inside that black box. Their main argument? They say AI hiring tools need to operate a lot more like credit agencies. Think about it. A credit bureau is legally required to show you exactly how your financial data is evaluated to build your credit score. These plaintiffs are arguing that job candidates deserve that exact same level of transparency for how they're being scored. Now, to be totally impartial here, Eightfold is pushing back hard on this. In their defense, they've stated point blank that they strictly use information the applicant actively chooses to submit, plus data authorized by the employer. They explicitly promise they are not out there scraping your social media to figure out if you're a good fit. Plus, they really emphasize how consistent they are. Every single candidate gets the exact same question and is graded on the exact same 0 to 5 scale, purely based on the job description. Other big players like CodeSignal and Humanly make very similar arguments to defend their tech. They make a fair point. Human interviews are notoriously inconsistent. But in AI, it asks the identical question every single time. And remember, they're grading what you say, not how you say it. So if you have a nervous stutter, or maybe your tone's a bit off, the bot isn't going to penalize you for that. To back this up, they run regular third-party audits to check for bias against minorities, and they even keep internal teams of organizational psychologists on payroll just to constantly monitor what the AI is spitting out. All right, let's wrap this up with part 5, how to pass the test. This is your survival guide. So, keeping in mind everything we just talked about, knowing this AI is meticulously picking apart your words to build a transcript, how do you actually beat the bot and get the job? Step 1, you have to speak clearly. If the AI fumbles your transcription, it literally cannot grade you properly. Step 2, and honestly, this is the golden rule, pack your answers with specific keywords and metrics straight from the job description. Remember, you aren't trying to charm a person. You are feeding an algorithm exactly what it was programmed to find. And step 3, always ask a question or two at the end. The AI is actually listening to see if you engage, so throw a question out there just to be safe. We've looked at the massive scale of this, the uncanny valley creeps, the bias lawsuits, and the survival tactics. But I want to leave you with a genuinely surprising statistic. Several of these AI companies are reporting that a huge chunk of applicants actually prefer talking to the AI over a real human. They say it feels less judgmental in the heat of the moment. But after walking through this whole explainer and peeking inside that black box, I've got to ask you, if you were logging in tomorrow for your absolute dream job, would you rather sit across from a beautifully flawed human being or a highly efficient, emotionless algorithm?